Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John, I'm not good this week. This movie was painful.
Well, yeah. So this kicks off the '90s, but this is a weird.
This is way to start a decade.
No,
friend.
but this is a segue of sorts because this movie was released in England in '89, but America in '90. So this is sort of it's technically our first episode of the '90s, but it's kind of a transitionary movie here, and it does feel. I mean, as if '89 and '90 have different feels, but it still does feel of the '80s to me.
It does, because I think the lessons learned by this director were born of that decade.
Yes,
and he never learned new tricks.
Well,
I'm gonna before we kick off.
Yes,
I want to introduce something, and it's not like one of my old historical things, but I do want to address one thing: the locked room mystery, John. The locked room mystery.
Yes,
Agatha Christie did not create the locked room mystery, but many people feel that she perfected it.
Yeah.
With the play and the book, which the most unproblematic title for it is "And Then There Were None."
Yes.
Every
version of it now is called that for sure.
Yes. In high school, however, I was in the play of 10 Little Indians, which is still slightly less offensive than the original anyway. But regardless, it's a great story, and the idea of you bringing people who don't know each other to a isolated place, and they're getting knocked off one by one as everyone is discovering secrets of each other, and it becomes a mystery for the audience: who is the killer and what is the unifying thing. So it's a great plot device, and it has been done very successfully in horror. We would obviously point towards The Thing, which is exactly the same thing. Building the tension, the paranoia of there's a killer amongst us, but who is it?
One of the
who
greatest.
Can you trust?
I think one of the best movies ever made. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is a
I'll throw it in
masterpiece.
Definitely one of the best horror or sci-fi movies ever made. I'm not sure about best movies ever made, but it is great.
That's one of my top
I know
movies.
It's in your personal pantheon.
It is,
and I do love it. Oh my God, do I love The Thing?
Great movie.
I want to wear that hat all the time. I want to wear.
But I'll just say this: God, I wish we were watching that movie.
Well,
God,
I was about to say, and
you
brought this up before we went on mic, is that another horror movie that attempted it, and with the same creature, is the one that we've already discussed from the 1970s, The Beast Must Die.
Correct.
Which isn't great, but which did give us our excuse to go to the bathroom. It gave us the werewolf break.
But it's fun. I enjoyed watching The Beast
Must Die.
It's fun,
and you had great character actors just sort of bouncing off each other.
The presence of Peter Cushing.
Sometimes it's really all you need.
The presence of Peter Cushing in anything automatically takes it up a full letter grade in my opinion.
Automatically takes it up, and young Michael Gambon, I'm like, bring it.
Young hungry Gambon really going for it,
But this today's movie is using the same structure, and what they decided to do, which I think was really daring, was take all the suspense and tension out of it. Take all craft, building of characters, understanding of why you're watching it, took all of that and said, you know what? I'm going for a lean movie. We don't need any of that fat. And it cut it away to give us this piece of shit where you don't care about anyone, you don't care who dies, you don't remember their names, and if there's a werewolf in it, good luck seeing them. You might want to pause. You might want to
don't blink or turn your head for too long because you will not see this creature.
No, they needed a werewolf break.
Well,
they should have taken one.
Is there any better introduction than to the film entitled The Howling 5, The Rebirth?
Which, that doesn't even mean anything either. Jesus Christ, this movie.
I'm angry. Boy. I will say it did break the trend of these movies being worse than the other one, but I would say this one is maybe a a parallel move. It's
one saying if you're looking at like an EKG chart or something,
it's a minor blip.
Or you're watching the heart monitor. Yeah, I'd say it's a beep for about 5 minutes, and then a
yeah,
it's
that's
a little because
I would concur.
maybe this is one half flutter of a heartbeat better than Howling 4.
Howling 4 was really like across the board.
Just awful.
I mean, really, really like incompetently made. This is at least, just from a technical standpoint, at least like slightly easier to look at, but on every other level it fails. And like I said, really, in any other franchise, this would be the worst entry. But because 4 is so shockingly bad, this one...
unless this thing takes an amazing upturn over 6, 7, and 8, it is just the worst series, because Howling 1 isn't even a masterpiece, but Howling 1
is now.
Yeah. Howling 1 is fun, and fun, of course. It's a dark movie, but it has its wink in it.
It's got a sense of humor, great character actors, and
some satire.
It's what you want when I put on a monster movie. You know what I mean? Like that.
And
it is.
The werewolves are genuinely fucking scary werewolves.
Yeah, and it's good. The plot is good. The acting is good. Joe Dante is directing the hell out of it. Sales' script is good. The makeup's amazing. Like that movie just works, even if it's not like brilliant. It works. It's one I go back to a lot because it's a good. If like I said,
American Werewolf in London does beat it out as being the best.
But I don't think it's like I don't think it like completely leaves it in the dust.
No.
I
recommend watching The Howling any day of the week.
Absolutely.
You'd enjoy
like
it.
I said, if you're looking for just a good, solid, scary monster movie, The Howling is about as good as you can do, really.
Yeah, I still think even with cute, winky nose werewolf at the end, it's still a great ending.
Yes, I agree. I once again, that's when I talk about from a structural standpoint, because we particularly want to talk about story and character. I think talk about where this one falls apart. That's where the original Howling really works.
It really did. It gave us. I mean, there's people will say it's like, well, you want to keep your main cast somewhat small so people can get to know those characters. I've seen movies that have like really big casts, and if you're a good enough writer, you can still flesh those characters out, and you look at Magnolia, for instance.
One of my favorites.
That's a weird take, but I mean,
love that
I
movie.
was just trying to think of a big multi-character
that's a huge
cast
sprawling
where everyone
ensemble
is served.
Oh,
everyone is served.
I love Magnolia. Huge fan of that movie.
Me too. What this movie could have used is all of the characters waiting for the werewolf to kill them, and they break into an Amy Mann song.
I would have loved that, because it would have been some inkling of personality or life in this thing.
And
Jesus
also,
Christ.
since it was 1989, it probably would have been some Till Tuesday track. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, I mean, anything. This movie could have used... You could say almost anything, and I would agree, because this movie could have used anything. I can't stress. Maybe it's slightly better than Howling 4, but it is nothing.
This could have used a scene where they literally just give you a recipe for delicious panini somewhere in the middle.
I would have been happily.
Like, great. That really helped this movie.
I do love I should get some prosciutto. Yes.
Thanks, Howling 5.
Yeah. Anything would have. God damn, this thing is terrible.
Nothing got rebirthed, by the way. Just want to make sure that our people at home know that no one gets rebirthed.
No, that's an interesting thing. It's instead, it's actually the opposite, which is a bloodline that never died, right?
Yeah, but someone trying to make the bloodline die.
Right. Which is, I mean, as a plot,
nothing got rebirthed.
That's fine.
Everyone was already there.
You want to talk about? Let's talk about this poster, which is pretty bad as well.
Yep.
I mean,
they're just not trying anymore, pal.
No,
they're not trying.
That's what I love about this poster. Is they're just like, I don't know, man. There's a werewolf, whatever.
Literally, this actually reminds me of I've said this before, but kind of paperback covers of this era.
Yes.
Especially because they're doing this diagonal slice.
Yes.
And it's not like the previous Howling posters where it's a slice because claws have ripped through it.
No, they've long ago let go of that shit.
Yeah, this is just like a graphic, as if it's the outer jacket of the paperback, and then on the inside is where you have the art.
Yeah.
So it's just this diagonal slash where really most of the poster is just a red field.
Yeah.
Where the type is, and then the section that isn't the red slice is a close up of, and actually more than you're going to get in the actual movie.
I know, this is the clearest look that you get of this werewolf, period.
And I mean, at least at this, you're like, okay, it's budget 1980s werewolf makeup.
Yeah.
It looks okay. I mean, it looks okay.
Yeah, in a still frame.
We're gonna get in the movie.
Okay. No.
And it says "The Beast Returns." That's the tagline on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Howling
does it? I mean, because the continuity of this as a franchise is non-existent, man.
Non-existent, though. I mean, we go back to talking about some bloodline folklore thing in Budapest, which at least a couple of the movies have,
Man, I
talked about.
Howling 2 definitely
Tower
does.
And Howling 4.
Yeah, I long for the days.
Howling 2, right?
I long for the days of Howling 2, man. At this point, that thing was at least like schlocky and fun in places.
At least it had Reb Brown.
Man, I'll say it. I'll take Reb Brown over this cast. I really will.
I will,
at least
because
fun to
Reb
mock
Brown
or
is
something.
bad, but he's bad in at least a familiar, comfy way.
He's
As in, these
B-movie
people
bad.
are flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's a bad where you're a bad actor and you're kind of just goofily overdoing it, where you're like, I'm laughing, but it's okay because it's campy. But these people are all very flat. Their line readings are all...
This has some of the worst line readings I've seen in anything. Really.
Oh my God.
Some of this, and the guy we've got to talk about.
Some of this is Tommy Wiseau quality.
And that will bring me to Clive Turner, who is the visionary behind the Howling franchise now. And if you look at this guy's career, he basically only makes Howling movies.
Yeah.
Is essentially his career, and the Lawnmower Man movies he's a producer on. So
I think he may have just he may have ended up with the rights to the novels, which is why they keep being credited at the beginning of all these Howling movies. So maybe that's just it. Like, he has to keep the rights by continually cranking out Howling sequels.
Because, I mean, if you look at this guy's career, he wrote the last movie.
Yeah.
He wrote this movie.
Yeah.
And here's the weird thing. He will have no involvement in the next one before returning as writer and director of the 7th one.
That's New Moon Rising.
Yes, but he has no involvement in 6, which is weird. I guess because he was too busy doing the Lawnmower Man franchise, which is also terrible. But the thing that we see here is where the acting begins on this one. Because he is a character in this, and then, he is apparently the main character of the 7th one.
Oh, great.
So he ends up writer, director, star, and also uncredited editor on these things, from what I gather as well. We have Clive Turner to blame for most of these. I want to know what happened on 6, where he somehow was out, and then I guess the decision was, oh no, we shouldn't make these without Clive Turner.
Yeah.
That 6 will somehow turn out bad to the point where they need to bring Clive back.
He just has to have owned a chunk of it. I don't think anyone's bringing him back. I think he's pretty much directing or steering the entire series. So I think it's probably his choice.
Well, because he's also, and in this movie, he's just riveting on screen playing the character of Ray.
He really is amazing.
Oh,
I'll give him that.
Oh, my God.
When he's on screen, you can't look at anybody.
With his ponytail and his...
Oh, my
God, he's terrible. And everybody's terrible. I will say, he is really no worse than anyone else in it, but...
it's true.
He doesn't, stand out for how bad he is, but because everybody's bad.
I nearly forgot because we were talking before. Like you said, I recognized one of the actors in it, and I was like, I didn't recognize anyone, but that was a lie. Because Victoria Catlin, who's in it, and she plays Dr. Catherine Peake. She survives for a good long while in this.
She sure
but
does.
she was in Twin Peaks.
Oh yes,
that's where I know her from.
Yes,
she was
that's
Blackie
right.
Who ran One-Eyed Jacks.
That's right. I did also recognize her. Now that I forgot she was in that. Yeah.
She made much better impression on Twin Peaks.
Well, no one makes an impression in this movie. I mean, you can't make an impression in this movie.
No.
Like there's just the way it's written, the way these no character is given. Like I said, I at no point wrote any character's name down in the script. Everyone has a nickname in my notes.
Right, because you can also break them down as like their profession. Because
that's what I have. I have
cavalcade of unique professions.
I mean, so
there's tennis player, there's young actors, older actors, there's doctor lady, there's
professor, count,
old rocker. That's our buddy Clive Turner.
That's Clive Turner's old rocker. I think I called him Ponytail.
And there was a rock star or pop star woman.
Yes. She's big hair. I think
dies pretty early.
No, that's not big hair then. I think big hair is the woman from Twin Peaks. I called her big hair in my scripts because her hair
big hair. She does. She has big 80s and she's got the
hair.
Big 80s shoulder pads.
And then there's douchebag.
Douchebag.
Now douchebag and tennis player look very similar.
They do, except for douchebag has that big chin.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what his profession was supposed to be.
I don't remember either.
But there's some kind of nonsense about like an affair that's going on. I mean, they're trying to build in character stuff, but it's like, who are you?
Impossible. About 20 minutes in the movie, I went, oh, none of this is going to ever matter, so I don't even need to bother paying attention.
I know, and there's a part that's almost a little over halfway in where some people have already gone missing. They don't know they're necessarily dead, but they've gone missing, and yet we still have this sequence that goes on for about 10 minutes where we're bouncing between various groups of two having conversations that are supposed to be like character conversations, and it's nonsense dialogue. It's nothing. It's like, well, what do you expect out of a man? Well, I'll tell you what I'm looking for, blah, blah, blah. Well, don't you have that with this? And then, hey, that guy moves pretty fast. Yeah, well, and you're like, who are you? Why are you talking?
No, it does. I did feel like I had constantly missed something while also was very aware I had not. Because there were times when I glanced at my phone for a little bit because I was bored by what was happening. And then I looked back up and went, oh, I've missed nothing. Nothing has happened.
No, really, you don't miss anything if you go away and come back.
And also, we've complained about the last few Phantom of the Opera movies we did at the end of last season that the big problem with the Phantom of the Opera movies is they spend too much time running around the tunnels of underground London or Paris. Imagine a whole movie of that, which is what this is. Basically, at a certain point, the entirety of this movie is people running around in subterranean.
Oh, we're lost in this labyrinth under the castle. How will we get in? Oh no, that door is locked. Oh, I found a secret door.
It is.
Fuck you, movie.
And also, I'll just say this. The werewolf as a monster, I don't think of something that creeps around, hides in the shadows, and sneaks up on, like, not like this. Like, this is a werewolf that's like, I'm going to be over here, and then I'm going to be over there. Like, this is a werewolf that's really targeting.
Well, look, we can also get very, very hardcore on the logic of it because, okay, let's say it is a stealthy werewolf. Is it going to stop with just clawing someone's throat? Because that's all these murders are, just like, got his throat.
Well, in fact,
don't werewolves eat?
There's a point where somebody actually brings that up. They go, if this was some kind of wild animal, wouldn't it have torn them apart? And then you never get an answer as to why that. They're just like,
Also, when it's revealed at the end who the werewolf is, and boy, it was a shocking surprise.
Oh my God, my mouth, my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe it.
Here's another thing. This whole thing has happened over the course of a day or a night, and I want to just say, werewolves when they change tend to either tear their clothing apart or they're nude when they're werewolf.
Not in this.
But in this, you are a werewolf, and then apparently can change back into a normal person, and your clothes are fine. Because the person who ends up being the werewolf at the end, I don't know why I'm protecting people from spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers,
like,
because people need to watch Howling 5, obviously.
Were you just running back to the bedroom to get back in your jeans and sweater?
Because I didn't care enough to check the time, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't work out logistically that this person's the werewolf. But
no, there's no way possible. But again, it's like also no signs of blood or anything. Just like you can't just be constantly changing from human back to werewolf to human back to werewolf over the course of one night, killing people, getting back, and then not.
And I also love that for a franchise that started with its incredible werewolf transformations, we have no transformation.
We have no transformation.
Yeah, and finally, even Howling 4 with its terrible werewolf transformation still had one. Here they're like, fuck that shit. We can make this thing for 50 cents, man.
Yeah,
because this is cheap, man.
This is very cheap.
Let me pitch you one other tagline that this had here.
I'm ready.
No. For 500 years, the secret lay dormant. ... Until now.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the movie they're trying to sell us on throughout the whole movie, is like, secrets of this castle must never be known.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And by the way, the secret of the castle is just, there's a werewolf.
Yeah, and the werewolf isn't even in the castle. The werewolf had to be invited to this castle.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be
on the possibility that they were a werewolf.
I thought it was going to be that they unleashed the werewolf.
Yeah.
When they got no, it really is the Beast Must Die plot, where it's like, I've invited all of you here for the evening, and one of you is the werewolf. To the point where, did it even need to be at this castle? Did it matter where any of this happened?
No. Just for symbolism, maybe, because that's where they thought they had killed the bloodline 500 years before.
Wouldn't you love it if the Count went, ooh, such delicious symbolism?
The thing with this Count guy, he's setting all this up, and he's like, you folks who I've selected from all over the world will be the first to enter this castle in 500 years. And then when they get there, he's like going, come on in, we got lunch for you.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, that means someone, specifically those housekeepers, which, what the fuck is their point?
Oh, well, other than the spectacular way that they both die, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that actually is a scene that, I mean, it's not good, but I'm still like, God damn.
I know. Because the rest of the movie really isn't like a gore fest. So when that happens, you're like, shit. These are the most graphic on-screen deaths in the movie.
Oh my
for
God,
two total nothing characters.
We should probably get to
well, we should start with this very eerie opening, which is our opening credits over a bassinet that's rocking back and
and the bassinet has a crucifix on it.
Ooh, this is so creepy. The only other thing on the poster than that werewolf was this bassinet. Ooh.
Do you think this will have something to do with the plot? It won't.
Dude, just by the way, take that just as a message across the movie. Nothing will have anything to do with the plot. Because there is no plot.
As the credits are rolling, I'm not saying this is effective, but I thought for half a second, I was like, okay, it looks cheap, it looks 80s, but they're attempting to instill some mystery. What's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued because it looks like the Red Wedding.
Yes.
Except for without the gore.
Yeah.
Because what we're doing is the camera is panning around a medieval castle, kitchen,
I believe we get
dining room.
A title card that says 1490. This is Budapest 1490.
Sure. I may have missed it, but I knew it was olden days.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's a guy in a knight costume. I mean, yeah.
Yes. So basically, it's a bunch of maidens and knights who are all slain, and they're laying across the tables and on the floors. And we're like, what's going on? And I do keep thinking, are they just asleep? Because they spared the gore. They really don't have much gore.
Well, I mean, I think they didn't spend the money on the gore rather than it was a creative choice.
No, yeah, they didn't have enough Caro syrup and red food coloring. So, yeah, so it ends up being one guy's still alive, a knight type guy, and the woman who runs in, and they are speaking actually in Hungarian, I believe. So I was like, hey, all right.
I know. I couldn't believe that I was watching subtitled dialogue in a
I know, and it was like, well, we've done it. all the bloodline is dead.
Yeah.
And so we're the only ones left. We have to end the curse here. And she's like, all right. And he stabs his wife with his sword.
Oh, I love this so much. He stabs her.
Then he hugs her from behind.
He gets behind her and pushes
that blade through himself as well.
It's a medieval murder-suicide, man.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. And they fall to the ground.
Yeah.
But as they do, they hear the baby
What's
crying.
this? And I love... I love that the guy actually shouts, "We died in vain."
I love it because it's, I mean, again, I know this is a schlock movie, but I love some hammy acting, and he literally's got like a fist to the sky as he's dying on the floor, like, "We died in vain." And I was like, oh, this would be an awesome way to start a heavy metal video.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what happened.
No, I wish.
But apparently they sacrificed themselves, their family. They tried to stamp out their own line, I guess, because they knew they were cursed to be werewolves. This is what we're led to believe later. But the fact that the baby wasn't quite dead meant that they died in vain.
I want to use that Kevin Sorbo Hercules clip.
Yes.
Yeah, that's needed for
the
this.
same one that he'll use when he finally runs for office and turns this country around.
Oh yeah, finally. Once Hercules is in office, then everything will work out.
Kevin Sorbo takes us in hand.
Oh boy, Sorbo, man.
Oh boy. Oh.
Cut to modern day Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah.
We're in Budapest. And this we got our Shutterbug, who I believe he's David.
Yeah, he's the David guy that is mentioned a million times, and he makes it all the way to the end.
Ben Cole, who's done some things.
Now, I will say this. Okay, so the scene is like on a Budapest public park.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even very full. And there is an attractive black lady, possibly American. We don't know yet. She hasn't spoken.
Nope.
And she's walking. And suddenly this guy pops out, starts taking pictures of her. And she goes, "No, please. I don't know you." And he goes, "I thought I knew you." And he goes, "Why, I did. This is the thing that cracked me up about this first line reading." He goes, "I know you." And he goes, "Didn't I take some pictures of you for," and he snaps his fingers and goes, "Rolling Stone." And I'm like, no professional photographer has to sit there going, "Did I take some pictures of you for the Smithsonian Institute?" I'm sorry, there's no like, I don't know who I shot for, especially if it's fucking Rolling Stone magazine.
He's acting like it's your name is but the idea
I can't remember the name of it. It has a lot of rock stars in it.
Yeah. Well, because it's that incredibly famous publication that everyone knows. I just
can't put my national what? It has something with graphics in it. So, so she apparently is a famous pop star, which also makes it ridiculous that she's just walking alone in an empty park in Budapest, and B, that he would not have immediately known that he had taken pictures of this famous pop star.
And this starts yet another, I mean, throughout the whole movie, which is, what does it matter that she's a pop star? What does it matter that anyone's an actress or a tennis player?
I know, because we'll never see them exhibit those skills, nor do those skills come into play at any point.
Didn't you want the tennis player to kill a werewolf with a tennis racket or something?
Yes.
Or hit something into I mean, I don't know, just like do something.
Sure.
I don't know. Try writing a screenplay, Clive. God.
He just has characters show up and say what they do, and it won't have anything to do with anything else.
I will say, it does feel like it's written by the guy who wrote Howling 4.
There is, that's very true. There is a whole scene between photographer guy David and tennis player, where tennis player goes, "Oh, I took up photography once." "Yeah? Oh, yeah, I use this kind of a camera." And the photographer goes, "Oh, I know that kind of a camera."
That scene is completely insane.
That's part of that sequence where we just keep cutting to people who are having their character interactions.
No, he's literally going.
It leads nowhere, has no point.
Yeah, he's literally going. What is that? 1855? Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah,
we
could have had a scene of them going like,
camera.
"Well, what kind of shoes are those?
Yeah,
are they comfy? Those are comfy."
Yeah, I mean that is the level of dialogue where I was watching this going like, is this meant to be building tension or something? Like, their mundane conversation soon to be interrupted by No,
No.
it has shades of. It really does. It's not as bad as, but it does have shades of Manos: The Hands of Fate in terms of pointless, plotless scenes.
And I will keep bringing up The Room. This is not as bad or entertaining as The Room.
No,
The Room is still,
it might be as bad, but it's not as entertaining.
No, not as entertaining. But talk about pointless stuff of like throwing the football around and that kind of thing. This movie is people throwing the football around.
Oh, could you imagine?
Hi, Mark.
How much better this movie would be if Tommy Wiseau had been the Count?
It would have been amazing. It would have been.
You're all werewolves.
Yeah. So one of you guys is a werewolf gonna have to kill you. Oh, is that roast beef?
Yeah.
I'd like a roast beef sandwich. Where's the maid? Maid, could you get me a sandwich? Hello, doggy. Meanwhile, there's a werewolf in here.
You say such crazy things.
All the time, it's crazy. God damn. This movie.
My God, yeah. I mean, yeah. Man, I just want to see. Didn't he make a vampire movie? I think he did.
What?
Yeah, we may have to check. I'll look into that because we may have to watch. He did. I thought he did make a horror movie. I can't remember if it's a vampire thing or not.
I know that he made. I did watch the pilot for his sitcom he was always talking about. It was terrible.
Yeah, of course. Well, and that's the thing is it's diminishing returns on him. I feel like. Yeah, where you're going like. Because you're like, I get it, he's bad. How much of this do I really want to see? And once he's kind of in on the joke, it's a little bit like,
yeah, like, can I just take your word for it and just go with the one? I'll just watch the one representative thing that he's known for.
Yeah. Oh, it was a horror. It was a short film. It was a short film that he made, called "The House That Drips Blood on Alex." Yeah.
Actually, I kind of like that title.
And
I have to admit, I like the title. Oh no, what's happening?
Yeah, well, you can watch it online. It's a 13-minute short film he made. And
I'll have to weigh what's going on in my life and see if that's worth the effort.
How low have I sunk? But all right. So yeah.
All right. So anyway,
everybody
we
at this point
that
he filmed her for. He took a photo for.
Yeah. And he's like, what are you up to? And she's like, my music, I'm taking a pause on it. I'm going to start making music for myself instead of what the label wants me.
Man, you remember more of this dialogue than I do even.
Oh, no, because for at least the first 5 or 8 minutes, I was paying attention. After this, I won't be making any more references to specific dialogue. But basically, he goes, what are you doing here in Budapest? And she goes, I've been invited to a castle. He goes, that's so weird. So have I. God.
Well, so then let's have two other people meet, because now it's tennis player, and he's talking to young actress at this hotel.
I know where some of the funding for this movie must have come from, because for at least the first 20 minutes of this movie, it's like, be sure to visit the Grand Ramada Hotel in Budapest. Because it is
guests of the Howling Five stay at the lovely Grand Hotel in Budapest.
Free HBO. It is constantly shown on the outside, the signs and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so blonde, I love the way we were introduced to him. Blonde tennis player is checking into the hotel. He gets his key. He immediately turns to a woman next to him who's just standing at the counter next to him. And he goes, hi, like he's flirting. And she immediately turns and walks off, and he just shrugs. And it's done so Tommy Wiseau, because it's all within 3 seconds, because there's no actual human interaction. Like, she knows robotically I am to turn and walk off, and he knows he just is supposed to shrug. So then he goes and he sits down in a chair and starts flirting with yet another person in the lobby. This one will be important. Yeah, it's that.
It really is. I'm a tennis player.
With Mary Lou.
Yeah. This is.
I am a famous tennis player.
Well, I am an actress. I mean, that's basically what the dialogue is here.
That is a dialogue. Yeah. Except for her thing is that she's supposedly a dumb bimbo actress. Mm-hmm. Because when he says, I'm a tennis player, she goes, it's good to have a hobby. And he goes, no, really, that's how I make my living. I'm a professional tennis player. And she goes, yeah, that's nice. And then she goes, I'm an actress. And he goes, what restaurant do you work at?
How do you know?
How did you know?
Yeah, just a hunch. Oh God, this is maybe 5 minutes of the movie, and this is where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, there's gonna be 90 minutes of this.
I know.
There's
And
gonna be a lot of this.
This is dialogue that he's patting himself on the back for.
Well,
You know,
like
he's
I said,
going,
this is
this is great.
This is very on par with his dialogue in the last movie. I mean, this is the kind of stuff
very
everyone's. By the way, I don't often click on the goofs section of IMDb for these movies, but I will say that I found this very interesting, which is the movie starts in Budapest, 1489.
Okay.
Budapest did not exist in 1489.
That's actually true.
Yeah, it wasn't until 1873 that Budapest came to be.
They were two cities across the river from each other.
And so in 1489 they would have been Buda and Pest, not Budapest, which wouldn't be till 1873. So nice try, Clive.
Jesus.
There's more goofs, which I'll get to as we get to them, but
I'm always reminded of the Ben Stiller show with the sock puppet guy who'd always go, read a book.
Oh, what was his name?
I can't remember.
Why don't you shut your stinking trap? That was his catchphrase.
Shut your stinking trap!
Yeah. Oh, and everyone's like, oh boy.
Whatever his name was, yeah. And Janine was his wife.
Yeah, God, that was funny. Okay, so yeah, so we've met them. Then this is where we meet the Count, who's talking to the older actress, who's a well-respected movie star of some fame, but maybe past her prime.
Okay.
Is
Is
she a Norma Desmond? I don't know.
There are so many references, mostly by the younger actress who says, like, I loved your movies when I was a little girl, and she's being unintentionally cruel about the woman's supposed age.
Yes, that comes up.
This actress who's playing the European actress, the more established actress, looks like she's maybe 2 years older than the other actress.
And yes, don't worry, they'll both be naked later in the movie.
Oh yeah, no.
It's fine.
Good.
It's okay, everybody.
John,
just
I'm glad
calm
you said
down.
that. You really need to set the audience straight. They were probably concerned. You will see both of them nude.
It is a Howling movie, after all. I don't think there's been one of these that didn't have nudity in it.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Except for, I mean, 2 is really just one scene.
No, there's the other werewolf woman who's naked quite a bit in it too.
Yeah.
And then Marsupials has weird nudity, I should say. So I don't know about that may be a different matter. But still, it may be the worst franchise we cover, but it is the sleaziest franchise we cover. So
far, yeah. Hammer stuff looks so tame compared to a lot of this stuff.
Oh God, yeah, the Hammer stuff that had nudity, but it was never like sex. It was. I mean, it was kind of innocent in a weird way.
They did plenty of like fade outs where it's like, okay, she's topless, they're kissing, they lean back, and
it was all
fade to black.
It was titillation, it wasn't it wasn't explicit.
Yeah.
Whereas here they're like, look
We've
at it.
A long way. We've come a long way, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so the actress who's supposedly old and past her prime looks absolutely young and lovely.
Let me see if I can get ages on these people. Yeah, because she's stunning, of course. But yeah, she doesn't even look like she's in her 40s. I mean, I don't know.
Nope.
She's 30 and it's over. If I knew anyone's name, okay. Here, Mary Lou, that's the younger actress. Good. She'll be in the next 2 Howling movies as well, Brendan.
No, she won't.
Yes, she will. Yes, she will. Mary Lou.
Elizabeth Shue?
No, I mean, Elizabeth Shea, right?
I know. I love saying Elizabeth Shue as if that's where she got her start.
Yeah.
It was Howling 5, The Rebirth.
Yeah. Oh, she was already a
she's
famous.
Actually playing the same character.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get continuity, man. This is where
6 years.
This is where we take the continuity from.
Her entire filmography are the 3 Howling movies she made.
Yep. That's amazing. Oh,
wow.
Boy. Oh boy.
We have a lot to look forward to, my friend.
What was the older actress's name? Did you ever get a?
Well, let's see. Her name is Anna.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. I don't have an age on Mary Lou, but Mary Stavin, yeah, she's 32 in this movie.
Yep.
Ooh, she was
Too bad she's past her prime.
She's in 2 Bond movies.
Oh, my God. She even had a name in A View to a Kill.
Yeah, she's one of
But in
Octopussy's girls.
She was just one of Octopussy's girls.
But yeah, she played Kimberly Jones.
And she was also in Twin Peaks. Holy hell.
Yeah. I guess, you think Lynch was a big fan of this movie?
I think so. I think we've seen it. Yep.
I get Coop, you gotta watch The Howling 5.
I can't believe
Hey, Coop!
Yeah.
Have you seen...
I was thinking today we should be watching Howling 5.
Yeah. I choose to skip past the first 4. 5 is where things get really good. It's the Rebirth, Coop.
Notice the word rebirth.
How much, though? How much
terrible.
do we want to see David Lynch's Howling movie? Because that would be... that would be something.
I do like when Lynch decides every now and then to strap himself to a genre and try to stay within the color and the lines.
Yeah.
Because he's a brilliant visualist regardless.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he can do a straight story. He can do an Elephant Man. And there'll still be amazing movies.
Great movies.
That don't go bizarrely off the rails. He just follows a script and does an amazing job. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, imagining him doing a werewolf movie, I'm sure would be amazing.
I would love it. I mean, I wanted to see his version of Return of the Jedi, you know? That would have been interesting. That would have been really interesting.
Man.
Yeah. So the Count comes up and apologizes to the older actress, going, "I'm afraid we'll be traveling by bus to the castle. I hope that's all right."
I just love it. It's so, at this point, I mean, because I've never seen this movie before, but at this point, when all the people have loaded this bus and we're getting the impression they're all somewhat semi-famous or in various fields, I'm sitting there going, holy fuck, it's and then there were none. I'm like, oh no, are they going to get picked off one by one? And I was absolutely right.
Now, the Count is played by Phil Davis, who is an actor you probably don't know by name, but have seen in many, many British shows. Now, I will say, spoilers for this episode, but it's been many years, he is the killer in the first episode of Stephen Moffat's Sherlock. He's the murderous taxi driver.
Oh, and he's really good in that episode.
This guy's a good actor.
He's not here.
No, but he goes on to be a regular. If you've ever seen the British detective show Whitechapel, he's one of the main people in there.
I'm glad he got there, and it's possible that it is just he saw there was no reason as a young actor to prove himself in Howling 5 because he's not given anything to work with.
He's not, but I will say he does have more presence than a lot of the other people. Like, he's not good in this because you can't be good in this. But I will say, like, when you watch it, you can kind of see, oh, that guy might be good in something else. If push came to shove and you were to ask me who the best person in this was, I think I would say him. Because at least he's trying to go like, there is a werewolf among us, you know? It's I mean, you can't sell it. But I do think he is trying to sell, like, the situation is dire.
Yeah.
But it's awful. I mean, you can't say this dialogue. I hesitate to judge anyone too hard.
Propping him up. No. He has nothing to play off of. Every face looking back at him is a vacant thing.
Well, I can't believe that one woman just has a career of playing this one character in the Howling franchise, and probably does quite well off of convention appearances now. But
well, I thought she was amazing in Leaving Las Vegas. I really thought that she. She found her voice.
Elizabeth Shue, I think, was already an established movie star at this point.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she'd done Adventures in Babysitting, Karate Kid, and Cocktail, and
But this woman's name is Elizabeth Shea.
Yeah.
That's why I keep going to that.
Well, they were hoping people would pick this up off the video and just quickly pass by and go, oh, Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, you mean the girl from Link?
Her finest work. The
girl from the Crazy Monkey movie?
Her finest work. We all know this.
Link.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I judge people purely by
Guess what? I would rather watch Link than this.
100%. I mean, actually, and if only because Elizabeth Shue in anything would be better than this, because
it's very true.
She's always
there is
amazing.
Nothing here.
But I always jump to people's monkey movies. Somebody brings up Matthew Broderick, I go right to Project X.
I know. If someone brings up Matt what's his name?
Matt LeBlanc, Ed, the baseball playing monkey.
Yep.
They all convinced
There's
him
a
that was a good
disturbing
idea.
amount of people who do have monkey movies in their background.
I go right to Rene Russo. I go right. Was it Buddy, the gorilla movie? Where she?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy. Somebody says Jason Alexander. I don't say Seinfeld. I say Dunstan checks in.
And does he ever?
I
Someone
would
says
much.
Charlize Theron. I'm talking about Mighty Joe Young.
100%. Is that Paxton in that too?
That's Paxton.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. She was just starting out, but he should have known better.
He really should have.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. They go to the castle. I'm thinking. Not only am I thinking. And then there were none. That's me in my head saying, "Don't say 10 little Indians. Don't say 10 little Indians." But and then there were none. But I'm also thinking we're all driving out to this castle. I'm thinking one of my favorite horror movies of the 1950s, House on Haunted Hill. I thought, ooh, we're all gonna have to spend the night in the creepy castle.
Yeah, I love the fact that we saw them go to the castle in this, like day trip van, scenic, bus. And we saw what the weather was like. They're driving through Budapest, and it looks like some interesting country. It looks like fall.
Yep.
But by the time they get to the castle, suddenly this unbelievable snowstorm kicks up that literally puts them in the Arctic, like within an hour.
Let me once again go to the goof section here and talk about the snowstorm. I should go to this more for the show because I think there's a lot of movies with goofs. During most of the outdoor shots of the castle during the blizzard, strong winds can be heard whistling about, yet the snow is always shown falling perfectly vertical.
Yeah. There was okay. Now I hate walking back on things that I've said on the podcast. We are both very generous in saying things, and we mean it, that anyone who sets out and can actually get a film made,
Yes.
our hats are off to you. But some care must be taken. Some care, some thought has to go into some of this.
There's sort of a two-pronged thought to that for me, which is it's amazing that somebody can get the budget together and everything for a movie. And that's great. I have respect for that. But then two, I have rage when I see said budget or resources just squandered. This is made without care, without passion. And that's when I go like, what? Because I would give anything to be able to direct a movie at any level. And so the fact that somebody would just go like, whatever, who gives a shit?
It does feel in some of these cases it's either that neither's a good sign. One is either the people are really, I'm talking about directors, writers, the whole thing, too stupid to know that these are dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
Things like a werewolf that just can turn into a werewolf multiple times in a night without their clothes.
Right.
That kind of thing. Like, and the logic of why is there whistling snow in a snowstorm when the snow is falling perfectly straight down?
Because that means there's no one having the second thought.
So they're just either stupid, or they are just that casual about no one fucking cares.
There's
no one's going to watch this and go, what? That doesn't make any sense.
And that to me is
one is cynical and one is sad.
And the cynical one makes me sad, or it makes me upset as an audience member, because they think, oh, these people who watch these monster movies don't give a shit. And I do. We love this genre. We want these movies to be good. They can be really schlocky. That goes back to the first Howling movie. It is a B movie, but it's a good one made by passion with a guy. I mean, Dante made all kinds of sort of schlocky B movies that always were made with incredible intention. I mean, Gremlins is just a big budget schlock B movie, basically. But it's amazing because he really cares.
Yeah. And care has to go into story structure. It has to go into character construction. Well, care has to be there, even when I understand that budget makes you have to make compromises constantly. But there's always a smarter decision. There's always a smarter way to go about it.
This movie probably cost more than The Evil Dead. And look at what Sam Raimi did with almost no money in that movie.
Yeah, you're right. Now I really am angry and want to hit somebody.
Because the other thing I think is when I see a movie like this, I go, oh, this isn't made by people with any respect for this genre. This is made by people that go, hey, monster movies make money.
And we have the rights to this series, so
Yeah.
let's crank out another one.
Exactly. That's the kind of attitude I hate, because you can tell when somebody is making it of like, I want to make a good addition to this genre. And instead, we got people here who just go like, whatever, put a monster. Who gives a shit? The nerds will watch it.
It really is.
Yeah.
All we're getting. That's all we're getting.
So anyway, they come to the castle. They meet the caretakers, which are these essentially nameless butler and maid.
They get names later, which is very confusing because at some point, even the characters that are, because the Count knows them, he hired them, right? And he can speak their language. Right. They don't speak English. But at some point late in the movie, so many people have been offed that even the characters that just got there that afternoon are going, where's Mary or where's Bill or whatever the fuck their names are, as if the audience is even registered. Like, who are you talking about? And then it'll be the waiter guy will show up and you're like, oh, is that who they were talking about?
Gee, I hope nothing bad happens to Bill the butler in this thing.
Bill the butler.
Let me give you another goof about the castle here. The fireplace, which is shown both in modern day and in the 15th century, burning in the same fashion, is clearly fueled by gas, as the flames are coming up neatly from underneath the firewood rather than from the firewood itself. Good stuff, Clive.
Yep. Man.
You can't hide that shit, man. That's obvious.
I mean, that's why there's a goof section. And even movies that I greatly love, masterpieces.
Oh, have goofs.
You can find mistakes in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can find mistakes in Citizen Kane.
Of course.
You can find mistakes in any movie.
Yeah.
But holy hell, were the makers of those movies completely aware and hope no one would notice? Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of the time is, there are mistakes in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I noticed them the 20th time I watched it. You know what I mean? Like that. Here I'm going, there's a problem right away.
Yeah.
Because I'm not engaged with the plot, so I am going like, this set looks pretty weak. Yeah, because
we're gonna spend a lot of time here because that I can see this. I can actually see the meeting with our boy here, Clive, and producers, and he's going, here's the thing, I figured it out. We'll save a little money. It's going to be a locked room mystery.
Oh, this is be perfect.
It's going to be these characters. They're all in this one set, and that will save us the money. It'll be the werewolves stalking them in a set like Alien. It's them. It's the haunted house thing where it's like they can't get out.
It's just like Alien.
Yeah, I can see that. Him saying, he's like, that will save us money, locations. We'll keep the werewolf in the dark. You'll only see him twice.
I really ran up the budget on the last one by filming in the woods.
God damn.
Now let's take the woods out of it and just film on a set the whole time.
We really ran up the money last time on ADR.
Oh, jeez.
We did the entire movie in ADR.
At least they don't do that here. That's like, once again, that's like the what separates us, I feel like. That's okay. At least it's not all ADR'd, and it didn't have to be because we're filming entirely on a soundstage. So, so this is where they all sit down and they're having lunch or whatever, and the Count is talking about the myths of this. Oh yes, well there's many myths, and it's been sealed off until now. And this is where I started to think, why do all these people think they're here?
I know. There's baseline questions that would satisfy an audience.
Yeah.
And the question that the audience is having at this point is, who are these people and why are they here? We get that they were all invited, but even the characters, within a few minutes are going, well, why are you here? Why did you get invited? And no one knows. No one has an answer. You could say it was a publicity thing. The Count could just say to advertise or promote the fact that we're opening this castle for the first time in 500 years. Clearly, they had opened it beforehand because beds have been made and there's dinner waiting for them. They're not the first people in there for 500 years, whatever. But you could say it was a press junket or something.
Well, because, I mean, that's the thing. And once again, back to House on Haunted Hill. Remember, it is $1 million to whoever can spend the night in this haunted house.
And eventually this is dropped so lazily throughout it. Eventually, but like 40 minutes in, we'll see that they all have the same mark on their arm.
Yes. But here's
and I'm like, how the hell did that not come up beforehand anyway?
Didn't come up before. And then I have questions about that too, which is we don't know how the Count has tracked all the people with that mark on their arm. And two,
there is that secret society that's been
yeah. Okay, well, but I'll give him that. Okay, I'll give him that. But also, he sent out invitations, which means everyone with that mark had to voluntarily come. You're telling nobody was like, I'm busy, I can't get there, or something. Yeah, and luckily, they all were able to make it.
Maybe the werewolf would have actually been able to go, shit, they're probably on to me. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll just decline.
Yeah, it's just like a lot really worked out. I don't think
I'll go to the family seat.
A lot really worked out for the Count to get these people here, you know? Like, it's just...
it doesn't make any sense.
And there's tons of movies where I let stuff fly, but this movie's so bad, I can't give it the benefit of the doubt on anything because it's so stupid.
That's exactly right. That is the problem. We can't let it go in this case because the movie is incompetent. Because
there's tons of movies we've done on this show where we go, it doesn't make full sense, but it's fun and we like the people and
this paid off. I liked this.
Because I'm the guy who's famous for being like, well, that's just the conceit you have to buy into to enjoy the plot. Mm-hmm. But here I'm going, no, the conceit doesn't work because nothing works.
Nothing works. No. And these actors also are not drawing you in.
Yeah.
These are blank-faced people doing bad line readings.
Yeah.
Every line reading is terrible.
Somebody here says, because I wrote this line down, they go, well, maybe the history of this castle is a mystery on purpose.
Yeah.
What? What does that mean? And two, how are you making that jump based on nothing at the moment?
This may be the character that says that might be the guy who's supposedly the professor. There's like the smart guy, you can tell because he has glasses. And he's the guy that gets the exposition dump and then is also the first to be killed. So
the guy who knows anything dies first.
And he does have he's the guy that they dump the werewolf legends have a basis in reality. It is said that in this area, because of the wolves that used to attack the early people, they believe that Satan ran with the wolves.
Oh my God!
Himself. I did write saying all this nonsense.
I did write down this line, which is Mary Lou's line: "The devil was a werewolf." Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Okay, but again, you gave that way more than she did.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible.
You mean the devil's a werewolf?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Also, this is new werewolf mythology.
Sure. It's some sort of nonsense folklore.
They're also talking but they're also talking about it later where they go, "Have you ever heard of demonic possession?"
Yeah.
And they're drawing a line between lycanthropy and demonic possession. Okay. All right, movie.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, I was way checked out. Yeah, because the professor literally goes, maybe this place was left a mystery on purpose. Anyway, I'm going to leave now. And they say, where are you going? And he literally says, to unravel a mystery.
He does. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. They know it's all snowy. They can't get out.
Yeah.
There's food there. That's why and they've been invited.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's going to literally leave to discover the mystery of this castle.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, and the Count at this point is just like left. He's not hosting them or nobody's like leading them around or touring the castle. He's like, well, you all enjoy your lunch. I'm going to go poke around a bit. Okay.
Guess what? He's not long for this movie.
No, because he goes downstairs and he goes into a room which immediately seals behind him and now he's trapped. And then a werewolf comes out of the shadows and kills him.
Well, he makes his way down into the catacombs.
Yes, and that's where he gets...
sealed room.
Yeah.
There's some sort of labyrinthy thing, and then he's like, I can't find my way back.
Yeah.
Oh, and now a werewolf gets me.
Yeah. So then the Count comes back, and he goes, where'd the... Count basically just leaves long enough for the professor to disappear. And then he comes back... And he's like, where'd the professor go? And they're like, he's gonna unravel the mystery. He's like, oh, God damn it, he shouldn't do that. That's a bad... Oh, Jesus. I'm like, what? Maybe keep an eye on these people.
You guys go look there. I'll go look here. We'll break up into groups and we'll go look.
I guess that's basically what it is, yeah. Something is going, and then it's just I mean, we can skip through a lot because basically a lot of this is just different people going, I think something's going on. I think the Count hasn't told us everything. I think there's blah 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 blah. I mean, like, there's just countless scenes like this.
It is the structure of these types of mystery movies where it is people kind of testing each other's you know, kind of trying to suss out the mystery of each other, and obviously anyone that leaves is then a character that they're suspicious of, and they have to say things like, well, he seems to disappear a lot, where do you think he's going? And it's all, if in an actual murder mystery, that works. But in this, it's written so badly, and you don't care, really. You just know that there's a werewolf amongst them, killing them off, and actually you want them to be killed off much faster, and you want to see a werewolf, and you want to get to that.
Yeah, if this thing could have wrapped up in about 45 minutes, I would have been happier.
Literally, outside of who the werewolf is, the big plots are the tennis player who wants to get with the young actress.
Well, that's the scene.
The one that he met with in the lobby of the
That's the next
hotel.
scene I wanted to get to, is the two of them that are in this spa. That is,
yeah, there's apparently a sauna spa in this castle.
In
and
this
not only that,
castle that hasn't been
500-year-old castle, and apparently it's running.
Yeah,
like it's ready for use.
Mm-hmm. And she's comfortable enough with him that she's just nude in there.
Oh no, sorry, you missed the part where she goes, I've heard that it's a Japanese custom to bathe in the nude.
Oh, I did miss this. Okay, I'm kind of glad I missed that, actually.
Yeah, and she goes, but are you sure it's here? And it's just him being, this is like a teen sex comedy, because he goes, well, I've heard it's a custom here in Budapest too. And he's just lied to her so she'll get naked and get in the sauna with him.
Yeah, well, now we got some boobs in the movie.
Yep. And they're having an earnest chat, and he's trying. Then he kind of like tries to put his arm around her, whatever. And she's like, "Hey, hands off!" And she, you're no good. I thought I could trust you. And she gets out of the sauna
in this nude swim we've gone on, or whatever. I thought I could trust you.
Yeah, I thought I could trust you.
Meanwhile,
keep your hands to yourself.
Meanwhile, our pal Clive, or what's his name? The way Ray or whatever?
Ray, the ex-rock and roller.
He's poking around now. And he gets trapped down where he gets also, but he can see through a slat in the wall of the pop star, and she's talking to someone that he can't see.
Oh my God! Okay, so his POV through the crack in the wall only shows him her, and then we get werewolf cam.
Yeah,
which cracked me up because werewolf cam looks like. Did they establish that there are staircases going into the room? Because she's looking up like 15 feet, and it's supposed to be like one of those things where, because here is one of those things in the giallo, like the Italian slasher things, where she looks at the killer that we can't see because it's us,
right? And
she does the thing of like, "Oh, it's you. I was just looking for you. Now I'm being killed."
Yeah.
So in other words, we know that she recognized her killer. So let's say, knowing who the killer is, this person has walked in. Yeah. And is recognizable enough to the pop star that she doesn't freak out.
Right.
That also means that person turns into a werewolf within about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then does kill the pop star, slashes her throat.
She has to. I mean, we've discovered, just because of the plot in general, she has to be changing back and forth instantly to be the werewolf.
Does that mean she went to the... Okay, let's just give it away. It's, of course, our good friend Mary Lou.
Yeah.
And she... So did she go into Popstar's room naked? Because she turns into a werewolf without the shredding of clothes. I keep coming back to the pose.
She was already naked.
Yeah, but I mean,
she was in the spa.
Would you, if you're Popstar and you just met this woman, would you be all casual about her walking into your room naked and go, "Hey, it's you. Hey, I was just wondering. Now you're a werewolf."
You know how girls are, Brent.
It's true. It's true. They're okay with other girls just walking in.
I mean,
naked.
that's what these movies have taught us, at least.
Yeah, and they're constantly having pillow fights.
Oh yeah. They're comparing breasts and having pillow fights. It's constant. Yeah.
Tickling each other.
Whoa,
oh my God.
You stop that. So I get So anyway, then the professor's like, not the professor. Ponytail, which is our boy Clive. He's like, oh no, and then he trips and falls down some wooden stairs.
Yep.
and finds, of course, the professor with his throat ripped out. He's like, ah!
Which these two deaths, because he discovers the previously killed professor, and then he saw Popstar get attacked.
Yeah.
So finally, by the time Ray, the rocker, gets back, he can inform people that it's not just people disappearing, but there are murders happening.
Oh, but wait.
Here's the thing. It's so funny. From the point he comes back and he's like, things are serious, like people are dying here, and it is actually a werewolf, and they're like, what? But they calm down pretty quickly too, because we have more scenes of them having pointless conversations later.
Well, they don't get to discover this information from him because he finds a door to outside in the horrible blizzard.
Right. That's right. He goes outside into the snow.
Into the blizzard. And what's this? He hears a rustling sound, and then this werewolf just explodes out of a snowbank. Didn't the werewolf just kill the pop star inside? How did the werewolf get outside into the snowbank, hide itself in there, just knowing that Clive was going to step out there? And
werewolf powers.
Yeah. Okay.
No, this fuck this movie, John.
Yeah.
Let's make this one fast.
Yeah, well, because then we do get the scene of the tennis player dying, the camera photography, which we talked about, which is hilarious.
Again, they're all pretty calm with the fact that
let me just
disappearing.
Let me just try to. Okay, we've said Mary Lou is the werewolf, so I'm just gonna go through my notes here, and let's try to track Mary Lou through the movie if she's the supposed werewolf, because she explodes out of that snowbank in werewolf form, kills ponytail guy, Clive, Ray. Then next we have the conversation with the guys about the camera. Meanwhile, we cut to her talking to the older actress about, these men.
I know. This cracked me up.
Yeah. So they then, let's see, they open the secret passage. Everybody has now found it. And they find, they never do find Ray's body. They only find his watch with blood on it. And
that's right.
And they're like, he must be dead.
I guess he's dead.
In fact, that's actually the last goof that's listed on IMDb, is no one ever confirms the death of Ray. They all just assume he's dead and then never speak of him again. Because he's dead out in the snow and nobody else ever goes out there.
That's true. Because you know why? It's cold.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But they find this bloody watch and they're like, oh, that was Ray's. I guess he's dead now.
Maybe he's just somewhere in the snow and we could get him. No, he's dead.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it go.
So then they go, all right, they do the classic horror movie thing. Let's all split up into pairs and search around.
Yeah.
So Mary Lou is paired up with tennis player.
Yeah. Perfect.
And the whole thing is they're going, well, this is a labyrinth down here. We could get lost. Let's make chalk marks.
Jesus Christ.
So we can find our way back. And then it's Mary Lou who goes, oh no, someone is erasing your chalk marks. But that's her.
Yes, that's right.
Why does she draw attention to what she's doing?
Well, if nothing else, one of the characters does later say, in fact, it's the Count. This is towards the very end where he's like going, the people who are most guilty appear the most innocent.
Oh, I have this line, Brendan, and it's even sillier than that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I may have stated it well.
It's basically that, but it's there is an ancient Hungarian proverb.
Oh, right.
Check the one who looks innocent.
Yeah, check the one who looks innocent. That's good. That's good.
Nice. Yeah. That's from the Count. It's old Hungarian.
No bullshit.
Also, when they say this guy's the Count, is he a Hungarian Count? Because he's super British.
He's very British.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Yes. We never will find out.
Born and raised right here in Budapest.
God.
So she goes, oh no, someone is erasing the chalk marks. Oh, that's bad.
Yep.
And so then the two of them go, we better run back. They start running. Now, this is an indication because the tennis player looks back in the darkness and Mary Lou's not there. And he's like, oh no, well, I better just keep running anyway. And then the werewolf gets him. So I guess that does add up. So he's dead. The the count finds he goes to the older actors. He goes, here to protect yourself, and he just hands her a old World War II Luger that he's got.
Holy hell!
Yeah.
There was a part. The Luger, by the way.
Yeah.
Because David the photographer also ends up with that. I think.
Yes.
There's one point where David the photographer comes across, and I think it's Tennis Guy when he finds his corpse later.
Yeah.
The famous thing from Plan 9 from Outer Space where one of the cops scratches his head with his own revolver, and you're like, no one would do that.
Right.
In this movie, there's a scene where David leans down and there's the body of the tennis player.
Yeah.
And he's got the Luger, and he's using the Luger to kind of point at the guy's neck. He's like, oh, it looks like he's
right
been,
in here, right in there, man, right
it's
there.
Like you use the pistol as a pointer. You just don't.
In fact, here, just so you guys can see it, I'm going to shoot at it right now, and there it is.
It sounds like we're being very nitpicky. It's just because this movie is inviting us with all of these terrible choices.
Since nothing is working, then we can focus on all the tiny problems with it.
Yes.
Because we have no interest in the plot.
No.
Nor does the movie, really, though. The movie doesn't even have interest in its own plot.
No.
It really is just going, whatever. Which is interesting because it does seem like a setup where you could, we're going to try to do this claustrophobic, whodunit kind of drawing room mystery sort of thing where there's a killer among us. It doesn't really, it never feels like a mystery. That's the thing that's interesting to me. It never feels like, we're trying to piece it together.
Even when it is trying to play it like that, it hasn't built any. Well, again, if you don't know the characters, that is immediately going to hurt any kind of suspicion or active. The thing that mysteries do is they get you to both watch the story, but you're involved. And you start putting pieces together.
Right.
This hasn't given us any pieces.
No.
All we know is werewolf is knocking people off. And there's nothing in them talking about cameras or men are just beasts and I hate them. And all that. Nothing leads us to go, that might be a clue. There are no clues anywhere.
There's not a single clue. I figured out who the werewolf was by process of elimination, basically down the stretch.
Well, by the end, there's 3 people.
Yeah, and you're going, well, it was never going to be the Count. You know what I mean? There's no snare that it's the Count. Because that's who everybody thinks it is right from the start.
Right.
And the Count keeps saying it's the camera guy. Yep. So that means it has to be Mary Lou.
Yep.
By just general structure, there's no choice.
That's where you, being someone who has read many a book and watched many a film and all that, or just really you have intelligence. Obviously, you sit there going, well, then it's clearly Mary Lou.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience knows at that point.
I actually went, I hope it's the cameraman. I hope that the Count had been saying it from the beginning and it was, and he was right. That actually would be the most interesting thing this movie could have done, I think.
Yeah.
Just like I told you.
Then you would have had 3 movies of David. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to 3 movies of Mary Lou, but at least.
No. Hey, man, next time we get the Freaks.
Oh, boy.
Howling 6, The Freaks is the title.
We've dealt with marsupials. Now Freaks?
Yeah.
We also dealt with your sister.
Yeah, she was a werewolf, lest we forget.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's still, the family's really trying to deal with that. We still love her, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Then we get another scene where everyone's arguing about, well, something is killing these people. And this is one of 4 scenes where they go, well, werewolves don't exist. It can't be that. They're not real. Yeah. And so Mary Lou is hysterical, so let's go put her to bed. Now, by putting Mary Lou to bed, we get her out of the movie to commit these murders as the werewolf is basically
it.
Script.
The doctor lady, who is the lady from Twin Peaks, does this whole thing of I'm going to give you something to help you sleep. Which I think is supposed to make her look suspicious.
Right.
But again, no one is actually taken in by any of this shit. But
they're talking about it's been very hard for her because she lost her parents at a young age. And then I think it's camera guy or one of them goes, I lost my parents. Hey, me too. I also lost my parents. They all have the same backstory.
I also have this mark on my arm. Oh my God, I have that mark on my arm.
Well, that happens because the douchebag guy watches the older actress take a bath. That's when he puts that together. But first, we get a little peeping in while we're at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he sees her in the mirror.
Yeah.
She apparently has positioned the mirror perfectly to where when she takes a bath in a standing claw-toed tub, that the mirror would perfectly capture her full body if anyone happened to open the door a particular angle.
And of course, once again, there's running hot water in this castle that hasn't been opened in 500 years.
That's right.
And 2, many people are dead. I think I'm going to go take a bath.
That's the whole thing, is that it really doesn't impact anyone in this.
No.
Most of these movies, like in The Thing and Then There Were None, by the point we're down 3 or 4 people, that's the part where everyone's like, we are all staying in this room together.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep an eye on each other.
Right.
No, this movie doesn't do that. This movie's still like, I'm going to go wander the labyrinth. I'm going to go check on those chalk marks. I'm just going to take a nap.
It's the Community thing where Abed's horror story isn't anything because he's adding real logic to it. We hear there's a killer. We turn on all the lights in the house, then stand in the living room back to back holding knives.
Yeah. And they're like, but that doesn't... This movie would have been infinitely more exciting if it was that kind of a showdown and someone was forced to change. The idea of a werewolf that can casually change is kind of a big cheat for this movie also.
Yeah.
The fact that this werewolf can, within one night...
It turns it into, it doesn't matter that it's a werewolf. It might as well just be a killer in anything else, you know?
Well, the whole thing also at the end, which is introduced only at the end, is when the Count says, he goes... It's David. He's the werewolf, and you'll see as soon as the clouds move away from the full moon. And you're like, what? At what point in this movie has the werewolf only attacked when the moon wasn't covered by clouds?
Right. Also, immediately upon realizing that he has the same mark in his arm as the older actress, the werewolf just bursts through the door and kills the douchebag guy.
Yeah.
Great.
I prefer... We're only getting this werewolf in little bitty flashes.
Yeah.
I at least prefer something that is an attempt at a jump scare. It's like, oh, you were enjoying looking at that naked lady just like him, huh? But hold on, did you?
Yeah. I never did jump from any of them, but they were trying.
No.
Yeah.
What would those be? Mild. Wouldn't even be a jump. What?
No.
What happens if you make no physical movement whatsoever? What is that called? It's a still scare?
Yeah. You just like it's just an intellectual acknowledgement of, I suppose that was meant to be a shock of some sort. Okay?
An acknowledgement scare.
No, it is. It's like watching something that's not funny.
I will check that box. The attempt at a scare.
It's like watching a comedy that's not working, but you're going like, I understand that was an attempt at a joke. I see the structure there.
Mm-hmm.
So they do find the pop star girl with her throat torn, but she's still barely alive.
Yeah, this makes no sense.
And it's only so she can go, it was a werewolf.
I know. And is it the doctor lady that's with him goes, well, she's probably just, she's just in shock and she didn't really mean that. And the other guy goes, that was her last breath. You think that the last word she used, she was very specific that it was a werewolf.
So then they go into a room and there's something behind this curtain. And the doctor lady grabs a spear and just stabs into this curtain.
Yeah.
And they pull it back and
she senses there's a presence there and she calls out like, hey, I'm in here. I know you're there.
Yeah.
And there's no answer. So as anyone would, you take a spear.
You just impale it, whatever it is.
You just impale him.
And so, she's now impaled the dead douchebag. Well, now and she goes, oh no, I killed him.
I killed the dead douchebag. And David, the photographer, goes, no, see, his throat was slashed.
Don't worry.
He was probably barely alive.
There's nothing, If anything, you put him out of his misery.
God damn stupid.
And so finally they go to the Count and go, you have to tell us what's going on. And this is where he finally says, every one of you has this birthmark, which relates to the history of this castle.
He finally lays out the story.
Have you ever heard of the ancient order of the... What was it? It was something very bland.
it was
Martyrs,
something
I think.
like something like not the Observers.
It's something in that vein. It's
but
totally forgettable.
The way he said it, it's similar to the Hungarian folk tale or whatever proverb. Is in this, he goes, "Have you heard of the ancient order that in English is known as?"
Yes, because they're obviously, since this is Budapest, they're a Hungarian order.
So I'm just like going, you could have said, "Have you ever heard of the order of blah blah blah," which in English means the da da da, but it's so awkwardly phrased. I would go, "Have you heard of the order that in English is translated as the blah blah blah?" It's something like the Watchers, the Observers, the Penitent, the Lookers, the something quasi-religious. But as you said, it's a very boring and stupid name.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember it because who could care? So he says that, and he goes, He says they've been waiting for centuries, they've been looking for centuries to wipe out anyone with that mark, because that is the family line of the werewolves. And so he goes, we did this because it was our only chance to to prove who the werewolf is, snuff out the werewolf. And you're like, really, man? This is so convoluted, and like, it's really. I know. And I do love this line from David the cameraman. He goes, "We're puppets, and the Count is pulling the strings." Which, of course, speaking of Plan 9, makes me think of "Pull the Strings," which actually isn't from Plan 9, now that I think about it.
No, that's from Bride of the Atom.
But it's all in the Ed Wood, Bela Lugosi. But as soon as anyone says, "Pull the strings! Pull the strings!" Yeah. Piece of shit movie, but say what you will, Bela crashes that line.
Snakes and snails and puppy dog tails.
Yeah. So anyway, and then of course the Count turns right around and goes, "Well, you're only saying that because you're the werewolf. It has to be." I don't quite understand why he's just dead set on having figured this out.
Why he's decided that. Basically, I think it is because David has throughout the movie, as much as they've had any personalities, David does seem to be the most calm, measured, somewhat intelligent one, and fairly innocent. And so therefore he does think, oh, you're just playing the good guy because you're really the werewolf.
Because it's always the one who seems innocent, right? Or whatever, due to Hungarian problem.
Though, of course, Mary Lou seems even more innocent because she's stupid.
By the way, she's not present for any of this because she's still asleep, apparently, throughout the rest.
Asleep. She's probably trying to find more clothes that she can rip out of as a werewolf.
So they do the only thing they can, and obviously they decide to just lock up the Count and the butler and maid in a cell in the dungeon.
And Jesus Christ.
And they go, all right, we're gonna lock them up, and then we'll sort out what to do with them afterwards. And it's of all people, the doctor goes, obviously we have to murder them.
Yeah.
Because they go, well, what are we going to do? Call the police and then they'll just testify against us? And the doctor goes, not if there's no one to testify. Holy shit, lady. Let's just go execute 3 people.
Well, yeah.
I'm a doctor. Let's kill everyone.
They may or may not be werewolves.
Yeah.
But they're in our ways. Let's kill them.
And so, yes, just a regular gun with regular bullets will obviously kill them, right?
In this movie, there is absolutely no supernatural-ish way to dispose of the werewolves. They just get, in the olden days, I guess, shoved with a sword, and in this, you can just shoot them. No big deal.
Pretty lame.
Very lame.
Well, actually, the werewolf doesn't die in this movie, so we don't technically know if anything would have killed him.
Oh, that is true.
There is no defeat of the werewolf. The werewolf wins in this movie. And apparently the next one, based on the fact that Mary Lou continues into the one after. Let's see. They
should have made it. They should have called it "Hello, Mary Lou," Prom Night Part 2.
Oh God! Oh
wait, sorry. I'd rather watch that than this.
Well, if we ever do get through the monsters into the slasher movies, we will get there.
Prom Night.
Yeah.
But I think they were only 2, right?
That's the rule over on Meet the Slasher. Well, and they remade it.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, yes. That's the rule, though, is you have to have at least 2 movies to count as an ongoing slasher. And that can include a remake.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the rules over there. Let's see. So they go, because they go, well, we can't. That's what this is. They go, we can't murder them without everybody voting out. So we need to go wake up Mary Lou and ask if she wants to murder these people. It's just democracy in action. But guess who's not cool with this? The older actress, who immediately goes down to the cell and frees the Count and his friends.
Yeah.
Because she's saying, this is crazy talk. But of course, when they go to get Mary Lou, she's not in her bed. Oh, no.
Oh, also, by the way, the Count immediately turns around and says, you should get in the cell. It's the only way you'll stay safe.
That's right. That's right.
So older actress has let them out only to then be locked up, and she's happy about it. She's like, that is good. I'll be safe in here.
But then somehow the werewolf is now in that locked cell and kills her.
Well, it's a similar thing to the pop star, because once again, we see the older actress, she drops the key.
Yeah.
And because they gave her the key, I love that. They locked her up and they said, if we're not back by 10 p.m. or something, or 2 hours from now, go ahead and let yourself out. But because something's going terribly wrong. But anyway, so
because she's kind of in there voluntarily, right?
Outside of the cell, yes. And then she's like, and then she's talking to someone off camera, and she's like, I dropped it. Thanks for picking it up for me.
Right,
thanks for helping me out.
Right.
And then door opens. She's killed by the werewolf.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk about. So there's a scene where they're like, oh no, what's behind this door? You think it's the werewolf. No, it's the maid who flies out of this door. And then the butler is sneaking up behind the cameraman with an axe.
Yeah, David enters the room, and he's being kind of stealthy, and the maid jumps out at him like she's going to stab him with something, and he's like, ah! And for half a second, he's like, oh, God, I'm sorry. We're all just so tense, and da-da-da. But the butler is still like in full protective mode, so he's swinging an axe over both of their heads, aiming at David. Mm-hmm. But David is helping her up or something, or he sort of
no, it's
somehow she ends up in the way.
Because the Mary Lou comes running in and says, oh no, he's gonna, and so he suddenly he's like,
yeah.
And so then he swings and just takes the maid's head right off.
Yeah, the butler decapitates
that axe was sharp, man. One swing, and that head comes off.
And that head flops, and it isn't even that bloody. Again,
it's a real like stage production head lopping.
But then
it's Mary Lou who had just warned him. Now it's the crossbow, which she shoots. Right. Well, because we suddenly just see an arrow come through his chest, and Mary Lou had a crossbow.
He falls forward on top of decapitated maid.
Correct.
So similar to the opening in which the two people were pinned together.
Yes.
In this, we have decapitated maid and dying butler.
So there's some stuff going on here, Brendan. Symmetry, mirroring of shots. Yeah, there's some real next level filmmaking here happening.
Yeah, a lot of thought. A lot of thought went into this.
I didn't mention Clive Turner is the producer and writer on this. I didn't say who's the director on this thing. Neil Sundstrom.
But didn't he do the one before?
He did not do the one before. He did. Oh God, I've seen Space Mutiny. He did that.
Oh, Space Mutiny.
Speaking of Red Brown, yeah.
Damn.
That was his directorial debut. Neil Sundstrom was Space Mutiny.
Starring Red Brown as Slam Hard Cheese.
What was his
Slab Rockwall.
Yeah, that's better than what his real name is. We'll just stick with that because his character's name was Dave Ryder, apparently. Sure. And didn't he marry the female lead in that in real life?
He did. Yeah.
I think they're still married too.
Which is, true love. That's great.
Yeah.
In the movie, as the MST3K guys kept making fun of, in the movie, she looks like the producer's wife, who this is her last chance at being a sexy bimbo. Mm-hmm. And they kept making jokes because she's supposedly the ingenue, and they're like, yeah, maybe 25 years ago.
Right. Yeah, she's yeah.
She was a little past her prime, like supposedly this European actress is.
Sissy Cameron is the actress's name.
Oh, good.
And she and Red Brown are still married to this day. So
I honestly, that is sweet.
Well, once you land Captain America, can you do better?
I don't think so. Captain America with his clear plexi plastic shield.
Oh, I watched those because, and I'm sure you did as well, because what else did we have? Nothing.
Well, that was Captain America in live action. Was I not going to watch it?
No, that was it.
Crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing those on the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever, and just being like, they made a Captain America movie?
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. And I accepted it for what, and I go, okay, all right, it's not quite right, but it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
Said little kid me who was a Catskills comedian of the 40s. I guess
a living.
It's better than nothing. Now, how about I have some more Sunny D?
Ooh, I could go for some Sunny D.
Oh, I did love Sunny D as a kid, man. I can't remember last time I had any.
Absolutely no juice in it.
No, and I was always like, why does Sunny D taste better than orange juice? It's like, because it's sugar.
Pure sugar.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so Jesus Christ. Let's finish up this movie. So we just had that insane sequence.
This is where we're at, okay? We apologize if it sounds like we're half-assing it, but this is where we are.
Yeah. So, well, okay, what happens here is the Count grabs the young actress to get Mary Lou, to get her away from who he thinks is the werewolf.
Yeah.
Then David swings that axe that almost killed him now at the Count, and now Mary Lou gets the Luger.
Yeah, and this is where it's supposedly the showdown, because you have basically this is the divorced parents calling out to their kid.
Which one do I shoot?
Or the broken up couple calling to the dog.
I thought of it as this is like the classic scene out of the Doppelganger movie, right? Which one's the real? This scene is in Face Off.
Yes.
Which one is
so
really?
So you basically have the Count going, Mary Lou, shoot him. He is clearly the werewolf, and you'll see that when the clouds part over the moon. And David's going, I'm no werewolf, Mary Lou. I'm your friend. The Count has been behind this the whole time.
Yeah, and then. Bang! She shoots off screen. We don't see who it is, but then David walks into frame.
David walks into frame to hug her.
He hugs her and he says, "Don't worry, it's all over now. It's all over.
It's all over now. There are no such things as werewolves."
And then we see a shot of the full moon, and then it's Mary Lou, and she's hugging him, and she looks at us. The audience?
She looks at us. She looks at the audience and kind of does an evil grin.
It's a real, ain't I a stinker?
And you hear a wolf howl on the soundtrack.
Howling. I wish this would have been a great cue of the in the cold night.
That reminds me, something we haven't talked about at all. There is no soundtrack to speak of, really.
No.
But this cracked me up. Every time there is a death.
Yeah.
Every time there is a death, there is a chanting chorus.
Yes.
That says Satanus. They say Satanus. Satanus.
Dun, 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 dun,
every time the werewolf kills somebody, Satanus. And I'm like, you're not scaring us. This is awful. The werewolf scene, a total of perhaps 19 seconds throughout the film.
Yeah. I was watching this last night in the dark. At no point was I frightened or even remotely chilled, or at no point there was no creepy eeriness.
No,
I shut this off and went to bed quite peacefully. Like
that sounds delightful.
In fact, I almost fell asleep watching the movie a couple times.
This movie gave us nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
This is in the realm of where there are bad movies, and then there are movies like this that are they're absolutely nothing. They're not even worth talking about. Like there's almost no point in bashing on it because it's just absolute nothing. We talk about this a lot over on my other podcast, The Action Shelf. These movies that are just slight. They're just absolute nothing. There's no ambition behind them. There's no reason to get a rise in either direction of quality. You're just going, who cares?
The only purpose of this film, the only purpose is, there's two.
Mm-hmm.
One is to continue the IP, to continue Howling series.
Yeah.
The other is to steal time from people.
Yes.
Steal time and life.
Yeah.
So this film did successfully steal an hour and a half of our lives.
Yeah, solid 96 minutes, and that's a little too long in my opinion.
I got to start watching it because I don't have that many more 90-minute movies left.
I was gonna say this movie was released in theaters in the United Kingdom, but went straight to video here in the U.S. And let me just quickly see. This came out in came out here in the U.S. in February of 1990. So instead of renting this, let's quickly take a look at what you could have been watching instead in February of 1990. The films that were in theaters. Let's say that's February 1900. I didn't want that. I don't think a lot of movies.
Not too many choices. Not too many choices.
I don't think there were a lot of movies out here. Okay.
Magic Lantern shows.
Yeah, let's see what you could have seen in February of 1990. Brendan, we'll talk about if you saw any of these movies.
Yeah.
You could have seen the buddy comedy Flashback with Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland.
I did not see that. In the
another buddy comedy and a real weird one. You could have seen Heart Condition with Bob Hoskins and Denzel Washington.
I did see that one.
Yeah, that is a really weird movie. It is just non-stop buddy comedies. Because you could also see Loose Cannons with Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd.
I did see that one, yes.
Yeah, terrible. Okay, here you go. Here, heading over to the action shelf territory. You could have seen Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill.
I did not.
You missed that one? That's too bad.
Not till cable.
Oh, well, now here we go. Okay, here's a legitimately great movie that came out in February of 1990. You could have seen Ed Zwick's Glory.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's a great movie.
That seems like a weird February release. I mean, the things you're mentioning here.
Yeah.
January, February, and early March, especially back then, those were the dumping grounds because you had already missed Oscar contention.
Yes.
So it's weird that Glory was factored in for the next year because, of course, it won.
Yes, Denzel won Best Supporting Actor for it.
Yeah, I saw Glory. Great movie.
Great movie. On the horror front, you could see Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner in Tony Scott's Revenge, an underrated movie in my opinion. I like Revenge.
I don't think I ever did.
Revenge,
don't think I ever saw
Revenge is pretty good. Let's see what else you got here. Well, on TV, all right, we'll finish with this. On TV, which you can listen to if you're one of our patrons right now, you could you could watch The Death of the Incredible Hulk, the final TV movie of the television Incredible Hulk.
Which I did watch.
Oh, yes.
That aired
twice. That aired February 18th, 1990.
Watched it when it aired, and watched it again around the time I did your podcast. When I watched the Daredevil one, I went ahead and
you watched The Death as well, yeah, because we did that one solo. So that no one would have to see Gorgoni and I cry.
I knew it must have been emotional.
Oh God! There were plans to resurrect him that never came to be because Bill Bixby died in reality. But they were going to continue after that. There were plans. So even though he seemingly died at the end of it, he would have come back.
Will you do me a favor? Look up when Werewolf, the syndicated TV show, started.
Werewolf,
which I know we're not covering because it's a TV show.
We have talked about, once again, we're looking into that kind of stuff for Patreon.
It's terrible, but in my memory, I would have watched an episode of that before.
Werewolf television series, 1987.
87.
July of 87 is when it premiered. It ran from July of 87 to August of 88, and then it was dunzo. They made a solid 29 episodes.
And yet, I do remember it, and it was very much in the fugitive Incredible Hulk vein.
Well, created by the
I'm an innocent man on the run, but I am a werewolf.
Okay, created by the legendary Frank Lupo, who gave us Magnum PI and the A-Team, and
let's not forget, Lupo is Latin for wolf.
Well, then it all adds up, doesn't it? Okay, we get a little break from Howling movies for a while here.
Thank God! But it is back to very familiar territory.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, we're finally doing the musical.
No, but we are doing yet another thing I'm sure that was made in response to the musical.
Yes.
We are watching for the next 2 weeks on the show. The Phantom will haunt this series.
Really? Oh, right, because
it's a two-part NBC movie. So the next 2 weeks will take us to 1990s. This one is officially a 1990 thing. This is the TV two-part TV movie of the Phantom of the Opera, starring Charles Dance, Burt Lancaster, and Terry Polo. As you and I have talked about, one of the weirdest casts I can think of.
That is just, what did they talk about around the craft service table?
Well, I have heard from many people that Lancaster loved to spin a yarn about the old days of Hollywood if you worked with him. So
Lancaster was also apparently a horrific abuser of women. So I'm sure there were some uncomfortable advances towards Terry Polo.
Maybe this is pretty near the end of Lancaster. I don't know.
think that's something that gets out of the system though easily.
I'm just saying maybe there would have been a physical incapability to get a rise out of it. Maybe
yeah. Well, I don't know. It didn't stop Frank Langella from getting fired off his latest thing.
Oh, please, come on now. Everybody's just too sensitive these days, says Frank Langella. Come on, I'm joking. There's nothing
2 weeks
worse.
of fan.
2 weeks of Charles Dance as the Phantom of the Opera.
And we promise he will not sing.
I don't think he's going to sing in this. I don't really know what to expect from this. I've never seen a frame of this thing.
I would imagine that something, especially like a two-parter TV movie, especially one with the Burt Lancaster, they must have promoted the fuck out of it, but I'll be damned if I recall. Now, true, I was too busy being in my 20s and having a life, but I do not recall even this did not pass my radar.
This was a big, apparently NBC sunk a lot of money into it, and
I hear it's handsome.
People, the reaction from the time I was looking at seemed pretty positive, so we'll see that. And it is weirdly, I was telling you about this, and our listeners, if you want to watch it along with us, it is on YouTube. Somebody, just not a company, but just a person, a YouTube user, has upsampled the entire thing to 4K quality and put it up for free on YouTube in both parts. You can watch it in 2 parts.
I hope they let the commercials in.
Tonight on an all-new Perfect Strangers.
I hope they're commercials for the McDLT.
Oh, there you go.
It keeps the hot side hot and the cool side cool.
Or I hope we get a Mac Tonight appearance. You remember Mac Tonight?
Oh, Mac Tonight, yeah, of course.
Played by the great Doug Jones, Mac Tonight.
I didn't know that. Yeah. He was the head in the moon?
And that's him singing, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's Doug Jones. That's one of his earliest roles. I heard him talk about it once, yeah. It must be Mac Tonight. Yeah, which was just an ad for the fact that McDonald's was going to be open a little later.
Yeah.
Need to know that. All right, well, that's going to wrap... Oh, boy, yeah. This is... I would say our first really official movie of the 90s are these next two with the Phantom of the Opera, because this one kind of clung in there and managed to sneak in, and geez. Well, like I said, it'll be a little... Well, it won't be that long till we get to another Howling, actually, now that I look at the list. Because we've got the Phantoms and then another movie, and then we're back to the Howling. Boy,
well, I need any breather I can get. I appreciate it.
I mean, this thing continues into the 2010s, man. So I mean, this franchise won't die. I can't believe how long we have to sit through this. Anyway, hopefully, they can. I mean, look, once again, we're doing this Phantom of the Opera. However handsome it may be, it's getting a huge boost by coming after this. So
yep.
So next week, Phantom of the Opera from 1990, Part 1. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Satanus!